Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. State-owned electricity utility Eskom expects to conclude talks on its funding model by the end of September. We speak to Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer about the expectation this could have on other aspects within the utility, such as coal supply and transport uncertainty. Welcome to Second Take, Martin.
Hi, Shannon.
Why is it so important for Eskom to conclude these funding model talks soon?
Because it's beginning to have repercussions down the line, even at manufacturing level. You see manufacturing people now being fairly outspoken about needing certainty from Eskom. You know, they're supplying electrical goods and services. They need to be paid timeously for those. And if there isn't a business plan, there's just this ongoing uncertainty that is actually giving them the idea that they should seek business elsewhere.
Now, some of Eskom's suppliers are beginning to show some anxiety around these funding uncertainties. What is the link of this to the power stations as well as on coal supply?
You see, these power stations are fantastic for South Africa. It's like an economic package, stimulus package that is a natural. And so a lot of people have begun to rely on them. I mean, the coal business is one, but they've actually done very well out of Eskom. I mean, last year they got 25 billion the year before it was 18 billion rand. So it's 7 billion rand more they got because they didn't sell on the long term, they sold on the short term. But if you look at these wonderful edifices going up, Medupi Power Station and Kusile and Ngula, they are very hungry for funds. And, just the Medupi alone is about 120 billion. And if you haven't actually got your funding model correct, it would be tragic for South Africa if you had to stop actually building that. And, stopping it would come about if they can't pay their way. And we do hear from even low-level suppliers at the moment that they are struggling to get payment.
Now, speaking of coal supply, what about transport? Roads are in a terrible condition. So how does Eskom expect to get coal from the mine to the power station? And what does it mean for the actual supply then?
It was wonderful when we had these tired mines. You would have a power station close to a coal mine. And the means of transport would be a conveyor belt, which was very efficient. And then you would have your contract and everything was in line. It was all aligned. The volume of coal you needed for that power station was agreed. And then that was just continually supplied by a very efficient transport means. Because they're now actually trying to get more energy out of these power stations, not only do they have that normal supply coming from the contract coal, but they buy on the spot market and they have stockpiles and they put more coal into these power stations so they can get more energy out because their reserve margin is a little bit suspect. And that is changing the coal dynamic. It's also changing the transport dynamic, and conveyor belt or rail is the preferred means of transporting. But when you have to truck, it's quite problematic. And now we have 5,000 trucks crisscrossing across in Mpumalanga, no matter the state of the roads, no matter the diesel price. And it's quite a strain on both the roads and on the purse.
So now how does rail come into that? What role does that play?
Rail would be preferable because it's lower cost than it should be lower cost than trucking. It's not always in South Africa, but at least it doesn't damage roads. So we find Eskom pleading with Transnet to try and set up more rail logistics, particularly Majuba. You see, Majuba was a big letdown. That was where the whole principle of having your coal mine tied to your power station collapsed, because at the last minute after the power station was being built, the coal miners said, look, this is a flawed prospect and we can't supply the coal. A lot of people say that that particular coal mine group should have been heavily penalized, for reneging on its contract, because now you've got a situation where that has to be supplied by road mainly. Tatuka also a lot of road supply, but there's, as I said, 5,000 trucks, crisscrossing there every day to various other power stations that need supplemented supply. So logistics has become crucial. They're even saying that the power stations are going to outlive the coal fields of Witbank. I mean, we're looking longer term now. Therefore, you should definitely have a rail coming in from the Limpopo, where the new Waterberg coal fields are coming in, so that they can supply. So you need a rail link there. And at the same time, you need these rail spurs to make sure that the existing power stations can be supplied by rail, because it's a preferable way of doing it to trucking. And that's why there is a call to work closely with Transnet, Eskom and Transport. And there is this coal forum going on. So there's a lot of talking in the background, but we need some firm decisions, and we need some firm mapping the way ahead, which certainly the ordinary person is not getting. Maybe it's being done at higher level, we don't know, but it needs to be communicated.
Thank you so much for your insight, Martin. It's always great to speak to you.
Great pleasure. Thanks, Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more insights into the happenings of the mining world.